Hello everyone, this is Just a Dad. Today I'm going to show you how to descale your Keurig K Duo coffee maker. So up top, there's a screen up here. If it says the word descale, then it's time to descale. There also could be a couple other signs it's time to descale. Say you press the 8-ounce button and you're only getting about 6 ounces through the K-cup. That's another sign. Same over here, if you're pressing the full 12 and you're not getting the full 12 cups, it may be time to descale. And if your coffee's not as hot as it used to be, those are all signs it's time. Now, I did a video on this earlier. I followed the Keurig manual online, step by step. And the more that I'm been around these Keurigs, I'm not necessarily sure that's the correct way to do it. Because following that manual online on the Keurig website, it has you're not putting enough solution in the tank and you end up running it dry, which I don't think that's really good for these machines, is to run that pump dry. So I'm going to use a little bit more descaler, and we're never going to run the pump dry on this procedure. Now with this one, you can use distilled white vinegar, the Keurig descaling solution, and this is kind of a generic descaler. Now the cheapest way is the vinegar. This one's not super expensive, but you don't get a whole lot. This one's a little expensive, but you're going to have to use possibly up to 2 of these for this Keurig. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to be descaling. So I've taken several Keurigs apart. I've seen some that have been really old, really used a lot. I've never really seen calcium build up in the tubing. I've never even seen mold in the tubing. So the tubing, you're not really descaling the tubing. It's mainly this heating element. So we've got this tank inside here that holds water, and there's a heating element in it. Okay, so this is out of a K-Mini, but it's got the same principle. I've opened it all up. Inside that tank, there's going to be this heating element. Now, if you've got hard water, it's going to start sticking to this inside of this heating element around here with hard water calcium deposits. Now, the vinegar and the descaling solution is going to help keep this area clean. So if your coffee's not getting hot, could be because it's covered. This is all covered with hard water deposits. Now, it is important to stay on top of it. If you've let calcium build up in here and you've never descaled it, and you've got really hard water and it's been a year or two, this could be really caked, and doing a descale may not get this clean, and it may actually break your coffee maker by breaking a big chunk loose and clogging a line or something. So it's important to stay on top of it every 2 to 3 months. They don't really tell us how that light comes on, what makes that light comes on. You might try, say, unplug it for a half a day and see if the light goes out, and then after you plug it back in. You do not put this coffee maker into a descale mode. You're simply just running vinegar through the K-cup side and the craft side. Some coffee makers, you actually have to put it into a special descale mode in order to get the descale light. That is not the case with this machine. So at the end of this procedure, your descale light still may be on, and it may not ever go out. But in theory, it should go out after doing this procedure. Okay, so let's get started. Open up the K-cup side. Make sure there's no K-cup in here. The filter side, make sure the basket's installed, but we're not going to put any filter or coffee in. The crafts, we're going to start with it empty. Now, I like to use the craft. It's a nice measuring device. Fill it up to the 6 mark with pure straight vinegar. Right up to the 6 mark. Now go from the 6 mark to the 12 mark with just fresh water. That's going to give us a 50 to 50 ratio. When you're using these, this is only 14 ounces. So when you put it in, it doesn't come up very high. But with this coffee maker, we need a large quantity of water. So you can either just use 1 of these and dilute it a bunch, or maybe even use 2 of these and then fill it up to the 12 mark with fresh water. And same with this one. This is kind of a generic one. I do find that this one kind of suds a little bit more. I do like the Keurig solution. I think it's easier to rinse at the end. It doesn't have the smell and aftertaste. Vinegar is cheaper, but at the end, it seems like you need a few more fresh water rinses because the smell and the taste kind of linger around a little bit. Okay, back to the tank. If you've got this water filter installed, go ahead and remove it. We don't want vinegar running through this. You do not have to have this to operate the machine, but so you may or may not have this installed. So now we've got the mixture. We're going to, again, whatever water was in there, remove it. That way when we fill this up, it's going to have the proper ratio. Okay, so we're just below the max mark, and that's okay. Okay, so let's run some of the vinegar through the K-cup side. Open this up, turn it on. We're going to select the K-cup side. Let's just do 8 ounces on the K-cup side. So you're hearing that water tank on the inside heating up that water and vinegar, and then it's going to shoot it through the K-cup side. Now when vinegar is running through a Keurig machine, it does smell a little bit. So when it's being heated up, you will notice a little bit of odor. Okay, so be careful, that is going to be hot coming out of there. After we're done with that, we're going to discard that. Okay, so we're done on the K-Cup side. Now we're going to run some on the carafe side. Okay, so now let's hit the carafe button. Let's just run 8 cups on the carafe side. We don't want to do the full 12. So do 8, it's got the 8 is selected, press the K button. That way your water reservoir is not going to run empty. We don't want, if you select the full 12, it could run it empty, and we don't want that. So just by doing the 8, it's not going to run empty. And that's going to leave water inside that water tank. So this will take about 4 or 5 minutes to run that vinegar through on the carafe side. At the end of it, we're going to want to turn the warming plate off so the warming plate doesn't stay on. And then we're going to let it rest for 30 minutes. We want that vinegar to soak inside that heating element for 30 minutes. Miss Fiona is sacked out for her afternoon nap. Okay, so that took about 5 minutes. Now up here, the warming plate is on. This changed from white to red. Go ahead and hold that button down and that'll turn the warming plate off. We don't need the warming plate on. I like to let it sit, the vinegar sit in this carafe for 30 minutes and sit inside the machine for 30 minutes. Again, back here we can see that it did not run the tank dry. That's a very important step. Now my add water light, yours may or may not come on depending on how much you add. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. Go ahead and rinse out your water tank, fill it up to the max line with fresh water. I rinsed this out with fresh water and the filter basket. Now we're ready to go. First, we're gonna do K-Cup side. So again, press the K-Cup, just do 8 or 10, press. We're gonna run fresh water on the K-Cup side, then we're gonna do fresh water on the carafe side. Now keep an eye on the water tank in the back. You never want that to run dry. And we're gonna do this 3 times on both sides. 3 times on the K-Cup side and 3 times on the carafe side. Now I do tend to let it rest a little bit, rest about 10 to 15 minutes between. So I'll do this one, the carafe, let it rest a little bit, then do it again. Okay, so now let's do the carafe side, the carafe. Let's go ahead and do 10 cups. And again, make sure your water reservoir has plenty of water in it. We're just gonna keep filling this up with fresh water. But don't ever remove the water reservoir while this is brewing. Always fill it up with something else. So types of water, I get this question a lot. So Keurig, you'll see them say don't use, in their manuals, don't use distilled water. I think that has to do with some of the sensors inside the machine want to see some mineral in the water. I've had several people leave comments saying they've used distilled water and never had a problem with it. But if you've got hard water, so say in your shower head, it's got really white, hard water deposits around it. That means your water's hard. That's kind of hard on these machines. So you really want to stay up on descaling these at least every 2 to 3 months. Now, you can use filtered water and bottled water. I use just regular tap water. My tap water is not super hot, so I don't have any problems with it. If you could hit the thumbs up button, that really helps my channel out a bunch. Hit the subscribe button. I got several different videos on new Keurigs that come out, how to fix different Keurigs. I really appreciate everybody's support. I'll put links to all of these, the solutions, in the show description notes. Again, thanks everybody for watching. And if you could, please like and subscribe.